with that, the Edmonton Elks 2025 season comes to a close as the Edmonton Elks, they fall to the Calgary Stampeders 20-10 down at Play Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium. The Edmonton Elks will finish the season the same record as they did last year, which is 7-11. Lots to get to tonight on the Green and Gold Postgame Show, the last one of 2025. We're here at Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, presented by Play Alberta. Thank you to everyone for listening across the Edmonton Sports Talk audio streams, live on YouTube, or listening to this on podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Matt, Iwanyk and Jay Milne with you here. We want to hear from you. You could jump into the nasty chat. You could text us 780-218-9999. We have a little bit to talk about when it comes to today's game, but a lot of this post-game show will be more a little reflective on 2025, but a lot of it looking towards next season, 2026, and where this team goes from here with Ed Hervey and Mark Killam as they will go into their second year running the Double E. Jay, how you feeling tonight? Yeah, I usually ask your thoughts on the game, but there's not a lot. Like, it's hard to break down a game that's like
meaningless.
That one. Largely, well, to the Elks, meaningless.
To the Elks, meaningless. Yeah.
Stamp's important.
Yeah. I mean, it was a game. Football was played.
Yeah.
At the Play Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium. Look, I don't want this to become the post game routine every game, but I don't know what else to think or say. It's just frustrating watching these games. It's frustrating watching the officiating in this league. It's frustrating trying to grasp the control center. And we're going to get into a lot of other things. Justin Rankin, I'm not going to let him off the hook. Finish the damn play. Take care of the ball. If you feel you may have fumbled, you might want to jump on it. You might just want to say, I'm just going to pick this ball up anyways. That changes the complexion of this game, albeit meaningless for the Elks. But you always want to go out on a positive. You want to try win the last game you play. But this was just a debacle, how this was handled. As per the CFL rules, the actual rules, conduct of the game, Rule 1, Section 4, dead ball. The ball is dead when an official blows the whistle. An official has signaled a score. Now, I don't know, for those maybe not common with the game of football, two hands in the air means touchdown. When Justin Rankin crossed the plane without the ball, great play by the young Calgary defensive back out of the University of Regina. Great hustle play. That's awesome. Good for you. That's what you're supposed to do. And Justin Rankin, you're supposed to protect the ball. Okay, we get that. Justin Rankin looks back at the official and notices both hands in the air.
Yeah, he looked to see, do I need to grab this ball or not?
Because he could have.
Yeah.
It wasn't he
almost like went towards it a little bit.
But saw that the official had
two,
marked the play as dead by raising, both officials had marked the play.
Did that. The one middle and the one at the east sideline.
Yeah, as dead. When this goes up, play's over. There's nothing else to do. Calgary, as they should, goes and, after a long wait, by the way, goes and jumps on the ball. Where's the command center in all of this? Where's the command center that should say, okay, we've got a dead ball where the ball was stripped because our officials screwed it up? Where's the panel? Where's anybody talking about this and saying, hey, man, they screwed that up? Like, that is so annoying. That you can't even take accountability and say, yeah, we screwed up. You're so worried about protecting your game that your blinders are on so much that you can't even discuss what everybody else knows. That was a blown, botched call. You'd at least have some goodwill attached to the product if you said, yeah, you know what? I think the ref screwed that up. Nobody talked about it at halftime. Nobody on the broadcast talked about it and said, hey, this is probably a bad call. Like, that just happens to the CFL a lot. And it's for me, it's becoming repetitive. It's becoming very annoying because you don't know what you're going to get. Oh, and by the way, this is what the command center is for, to rectify a wrong. To say, you know what, they got that wrong. We're going to interject and make sure it's done right. They reviewed it.
Yeah, well, officially, looking at the playlist, it's not considered a review on here. It says on the play, it says Fajardo pass complete, short left to Rankin, caught at Calgary 37 for 34 yards to the Calgary 1. I don't know how that math adds up. It doesn't. Fumbled by Rankin, recovered, end of play. It doesn't even say it was reviewed. And all scoring or scoring plays are supposed to be reviewed. Where there was a play where Saskatchewan, they kind of got screwed against Edmonton, where they recovered a fumble and took it to the house against Edmonton. They recovered the fumble. I think the whistle almost before, but they had a clear fumble. They quickly picked it up. That was one of those situations, even though the whistle went, there was a clear, immediate recovery by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They didn't get the ball into the end zone because it happened after the whistle, but they got the ball. It was clear possession by Calgary in that game. This game, if you watch, when those hands go up, it takes a while for the Calgary Stampeders to go pick up that football. That is not a clear, immediate recovery by the Calgary Stampeders. If they pick that up almost immediately after the hands went up, I'd have nothing to say on this. Rankin, get on that ball, figure it out. But the refs put the hands up. Rankin did look, and then the rest of the Elks are going, okay, well, the refs said the hands up. We don't need to pick up this football because the refs are saying we scored.
Yeah,
this play is dead. This play is over. And what should have happened is it should have been considered a fumble into the end zone. The Elks should have got the ball at the 1. It should not have been a touchdown, but the Edmonton Elks should have got the ball at the 1. Rankin fumbled that ball, but there was no clear, immediate recovery by the Calgary Stampeders at the end of the play. And as you point, the refs putting their hand up is the end of the play.
Yes, by the rule.
And that is a frustrating part because you're taking 7 points. Like ultimately, the Elks probably 99% of the chance they're scoring a touchdown on one of the next 3 plays. You took 7 points off the board from the Edmonton Elks, which could significantly altered this football game. They lose by 10 today. Things maybe go a little different if they know they're down by 3.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to say that. Like, who cares if they win or lose? You want to win, sure. I understand that.
But you do want for integrity.
Okay, that's fair.
I'll take that because this isn't about the Elks. This is about the BC Lions. This is about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as well.
Yep.
They are playing for positioning, and the Calgary Stampeders, while Edmonton doesn't need the victory, there's 3 teams where it matters. And your integrity of your football game should be solid start to finish.
Yeah.
And it is frustrating that these things don't get discussed. They don't get talked about. We're quickly talking before we jumped on. Like, the NFL has control over their media down south. They give them the rights. They can slap them around and be like, no, you can't talk about those things. But those leagues still, when there comes to a missed call in a game, they're willing to talk about it.
Well, because you have to.
You can't, as a league, stop that because bad things happen.
I mean, you have to. You have to admit you screwed up. And nobody's expecting perfection, Maddie. But at least when you screw up, own it and make it right.
Or there should be discussions on it.
This whole hidden thing where it's like, oh, don't talk about it. And then heaven forbid you talk about a massive screw up in a major point of the game that does have, and yes, you're right, it does have ramifications on other things that are happening in the CFL. Like it's just, Matt, this is just annoying that you know, I get it. I love a good rant as anybody else. Okay, and especially when it's about officials. I just stir that pot. I'm in. But this is getting to be annoying, even for me.
Well, and what happened with Hilaire, too?
O.J. Hilaire makes a great catch down the sideline. They review it. His hands are underneath the ball, and they overturn it. Like, it's just, I don't know, Matt. Maybe the CFL really is watching our pre- and post-game show and trying to undermine us by continually kicking their own asses and tripping over their own shoelaces. But this is just absurd. How can you honestly attract a younger audience, people that are in tune with social media, when all that's going around is how many screw-ups your officials and your governing body, which is the control center, has game in and game out. Matt, this is the third game in a row.
Yes.
That we are leading off this show talking about a blatant mistake, a blatant ignorance of the rules of the game.
Well, and the fact that you're choosing not to go to the replays to correct things, which is supposed to correct things, or you're just getting it wrong.
Or just say, we're gonna screw this up on purpose. It's Calgary's football. When not even acknowledging that two of your officials had their arms in the air and raised them for a touchdown. Why don't you just say, you know what? Hey, Coach Dickinson, we screwed up. We got it wrong. The officials had their hands in the air. It's a dead ball by rule. It's Edmonton's ball to one. Sorry, we screwed that up.
Which happened again, Saskatchewan, Edmonton. Saskatchewan got the ball, but they got 7 points taken off the board. And they had to accept that because they blew the whistle. That's what happens. But for some reason tonight, Calgary got the ball. I didn't understand that decision at all. I didn't understand why also Calgary's getting the football. Didn't like that one. That was a shame.
Own it. This whole dancing around it is just, and not even. I don't know. I just my head.
Well, it's fine.
My head hurts. I'm just happy that I don't have to rant about this next weekend on a post-game show.
Well, if there's something happening in those CFL West or East semifinals,
I'll rant about that on the Reed Wilkins show. Yeah, sure.
We'll do a special live VST. We're breaking in with a live post-game show. Jay, not Jay. I think I'm saying that right. I don't know. I love when Jay goes off and makes me feel like I'm not taking crazy pills and then supersize Indiana Jones. Jay is truly gunning for a rant of the year SD.
I sincerely hope I didn't. I'm not gunning for anything. I'm simply getting off my emotions, and probably a lot of you share the same thoughts and concerns about the game that we love so much and how it's just crippling itself and continually stepping on their shoelaces.
I just look forward to next year at the SDs where your nominees for Rant of the Year, Jay Milne on the Green and Gold postgame show following the Bombers game. Jay Milne on the Green and Gold postgame show following the Lions game. Jay Milne on the Green and Gold postgame show following the Stamps game. I'm sure you have another one in there right now, but there'd be 3 possible green and gold ones for you when you got that there. So, look, it's, from an Elks perspective, game doesn't mean much. Did anyone stand out to you in this game?
Yeah, I actually like the way that, a player that we haven't seen that much this year in Jalen Calhoun.
Yeah. 4 for 4, 4 catches on 4 targets, 68 yards and a touchdown.
First-year player out of Duke. Looked pretty good. Looked like he had energy. Looked like, and that's kind of what we were thinking was going to happen with this game is players like Greg Island. We talked about him in the kickoff show. Meh. Okay. But a player like Calhoun stepped up, made some great catches. First receiving touchdown of the year in the first game. I like that. OJ Hilaire has always, not always, but has grown throughout this year, has progressed quite nicely. And I think OJ Hilaire is going to turn into something, that'll work on a game in, game out situation for this Elks team. And to think the only reason that he's really in the game is because, Stephen Dunbar Jr. is out early in the season, right? Benjamin Victor was pressed into action. OJ Hilaire was pressed into action. And I think he answered the bell quite well. So yes, some bright spots on offense. Cody Fajardo looked not great. I mean, that's saying a lot considering the guy went 20 of 27 for 272 yards and a touchdown, but he didn't look amazing.
No, but I will give a benefit of the doubt for the fact that, as good as Calhoun looked and Hilaire looked, the Elks' top receivers aren't there. His starting right tackle is not there.
Yeah.
What should be his starting right guard is not there. There were, I will give a bit of benefit of doubt is who's he supposed to get the ball to?
Well, the underneath stuff, the short stuff, that's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
But I mean, we saw late in the game where OJ Hilaire beat his defensive back down the field in one-on-one coverage. It wasn't even press coverage. This cornerback was playing zone coverage, and O.J. Allaire still had the wherewithal to get around him. I just don't think Cody Fajardo can throw the ball that far.
He's not hitting a 50, 60
on the wide side of the field, 40 yards downfield. That's a tough throw for him to make. That's something that, I don't know. If you don't got it, don't try throw it, because that could have easily been an interception. O.J. Allaire made a great play coming back on it.
Yeah.
Justin Rankin, tough play on there. I'm not going to let him off the hook, though. You got to finish that. He would be the first guy to tell you that. That would be extremely disappointing for him to have Elks fans be that, that memory, that vision of him fumbling the ball and
it was such a great play too.
It was such a great play, a screenplay, albeit.
Screenplay, got through the screen, made a couple of stamps miss, nice, cut on the inside later in that. Like, it was just a solid run. It actually happened at pretty much the exact same time as the Grand Slam, I think. Was it the Grand Slam or was it the Varsho tying of the game?
Oh.
Because it was like, for where our TV was, we have both going, and like Justin Rankin was going on his run, and then Jay hit a home run. I know that. I just can't remember which one it was.
I don't know which one because I lost count.
I don't think it was the...
What a game by the Jays, by the way.
I don't think it was your play then.
And Jays play the day cashed?
I don't think it was that one then.
Boom!
My dad in the nasty chat. Defense played well. Defense played really good tonight.
Defense has been the strongest point of this team since about the midpoint of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to know something? This, as we said, this game meant something to the Calgary Stampeders. They didn't look good. They started off strong, came out 7 points, finished the first half with a 16-0 lead, held to 4 points in the second half. Mm-hmm. Really, we're getting to VA, a lot of pressure there, a lot of timely second down sacks or stops.
Yeah.
Like part of where this, like, and like they have a bad punt that gives Calgary great field position. 3 and out. Like, the Calgary has to go for it, and they get the 3 stops. I thought the Edmonton Elks defense was fantastic tonight. And as you said there, this has been a defense that has just been extremely good for the second half of this season. Even you could probably go a little before that. They came on in their own, and this was a huge bright spot to me for this team this year, because this isn't a small sample size we have of this defense either.
Nope.
It is a very long time where they just overall performed really well.
They look like sorry, Matty.
No,
they look like a unit.
They look like and this might go to something that you said a few weeks ago, but they've done this mostly without some of their biggest names. And when it comes to the defensive line, at the very least, you brought it up a few weeks ago that when you're paying X amount of dollars, including like a Robbie Smith, who's the highest paid defensive player in the game, you're not going to rotate. That player is going to be an every down player for you. He's going to be out there for every defensive play.
Has to be.
And then when he went out and Jake Serasno went out and they had to go to some of these other guys and they started a rotation, that's when they've had their best success. Fresh guys going out there, fresh legs, moving guys in and out. And that's just from the fact that maybe you're just not forced to having to play this guy because, well, he's got this money. And they've turned it around. And I don't know. When I look at this defensive line, like tonight's defense, I'll say that if they brought back this exact defense that started tonight and played tonight, and any of that wasn't part of this team next year, I wouldn't be up in arms. And there are some very big names that aren't out there tonight. Now, I'm not saying they're all going to be gone. I'm not saying they all should be gone. But if for some reason this is like Ed Hervey had to lock in this defense tonight and said that this is our team for next year and locked in this defense for 2026, I wouldn't be looking at it going, you're missing someone right now fully.
Yeah.
Which is a huge plus for this team because at the start of the year, I was worried about next man up. I thought they had solid starters, and if they had any injuries, they might struggle. And it was the reverse. The starters did not produce early. They had to go to next man up, and they have found some players.
Well, I mean, look no further than what my guy Bootsky says in the nasty chat. You know DBs, Jay. Is it just me, or is JJ Ross the real deal as a cornerback? 100%. JJ Ross might be the best cover guy they got. And yes, I'm including Tyrell Ford in that. Now, they play different positions. They play different sides of the field. So it is different. If you're playing boundary side as opposed to the field side, it is a totally different responsibility for a quarterback, especially in the CFL, because that's a difference of a massive amount of field yardage. But JJ Ross, another, Devondrick Bynum, right, gets injured. In comes JJ Ross. If that did not happen, we may not have seen JJ Ross.
Yep.
Right? Because I'm telling you, these decisions come down to dollars and cents. JJ Ross was pressed into action. JJ Ross might be the Elks' number one cornerback next year. And I mean, look, I'm not naive. These are people's professions. Okay. So we can't sit here and say this lightly and say, well, they're going to replace this person or this person's got to go. I get that. These are people's lives. Okay. But this is also the business of professional sports. Yeah. And they are very aware of that. And if you do not perform to the level that you are supposed to, or if you overachieve and overperform, well, you're going to be compensated for that. And at the expense of somebody else. That's just pro sports. Okay. It's tough. It sucks when you're talking about people with families. But those are the hard decisions that come into all of this. And that's what makes all of this really interesting, because there were a lot of people on the defense in particular, and I'll even say the offense, Maddie, that outperformed and overperformed based on the expectations of them coming into training camp. I mean, we just talked about O.J. Hilaire. That guy's got to be back. That guy, is he a number one game-breaking receiver? No, not right now. Maybe he could be, but maybe he could be a supplementary receiver. He already is. And he's doing quite a fine job of that. JJ Ross, another guy that stepped in and played very well. Mogensen at the middle linebacker position. Okay, DeBlanco. You have Kenny Logan Jr. moving all over the place. Kenny Logan Jr. was not starting on this defense at the start of the year. Then you go to the D-line. You've got Taylor. You've got Williams, Barlow. None of these guys started at the beginning of the year. Well, they were active, but they were not starters. So this is, if you're Ed Hervey, you're sitting at this and you're saying, okay, this is a good problem to have as a GM. Options. Okay. So if you're looking for the Elks as to what's going to happen over the offseason, I mean, I think we'll dive into it a little deeper here, Maddie, but I would say there's competition in the locker room in a lot of positions. And in some positions where there's not enough competition, there will be more competition to push the overall talent level up.
Of the starting defense back on June 7th against BC in Vancouver, I've got 4 starters played then that started tonight. Except one of those, Jackson, was at the linebacker spot. He was moved to a different spot later this season. So only 3 guys, Ford, Williams, and Barlow, started this season and finished the season as starters in their positions. Now, Brinkman battled injuries near the, I think if this game mattered a little bit more, maybe Brinkman could have been there to a degree, but the defense, Ed spent a lot on the defense this year. They need to make some improvements on the offense. Where are you going to get that money? It's going to unfortunately have to come defensively. That's the case of how it's going to be. If you look at the quarterbacking position, Trey Ford's money leaves, it goes to Cody Fajardo. Like that, to me, there's going to be a wash when it comes to the quarterbacking spot. I don't know where else you're going to get money to fill out maybe a little bit on the offense. And I honestly, I'm fine with all 5 secondary members coming back next year that started tonight. That sucks for a guy like Royce Metier who's coming back for an injury, but he might not even be ready to start the next year with an Achilles or something. With when that happens,
yeah,
he might not even be ready to come back.
I didn't even think of that because that.
But Jalen Garnes has been unbelievable, rookie nominee for this team this year. I'm fascinated what happens in the linebacker spot.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. There's going to be some people not back.
Well, Logan Jr., I think, he's a guy you look at in the Sam strong side linebacker spot. He's there. DeBlanco was fantastic. Mogensen did really well. And you still have the two leading tacklers last season in the Canadian Football League, in Nick Anderson and Niles Morgan. I don't know how you keep all four of those guys. Unless, like, if Mogensen and DeBlanco are still under contract, again, back to my CFL running out of contracts and all that, and you could have all four. You try to bring back maybe all four, and you figure something out. Maybe there's a trade or something, or you camp competition or something like that. But to me, I'm looking at that. I think there's got to be one of those guys can't be back. And I think, again, if you're looking for money for the offense, it's maybe sometimes. Dave Jamieson once told me a thing in football. I don't remember who told him this one. Or is it? There's the two things don't be in football. Don't get too expensive and don't get too old.
Yeah.
And Niles Morgan might check both of those, like just compared to the other guys, older than those guys, and make you more money. And then that hurts. Defensively, I want Taylor still there. I want Barlow still there. I don't know whatever happens with the rest of the defensive line. But what I would have said to start the year, the front seven is their strength of their defense. It's the front seven I'm looking and going, okay, who are the odd men out to make money?
Yeah.
And save money for the offense. It's wild to me how that's how things have flipped for me, where to start this year, I thought the D-line was going to be the strength of this defense, and that linebacking core of Morgan, Niles Morgan and Nick Anderson to start, that was going to be the strength of the team. They were going to build from there. And 6 months later, I'm sitting there going, well, of that front seven, which ones are gone now? Because Ed needs a little bit of money for the offensive line. It's just wild how just things... This is why we play the games, you know?
Yeah, it is. And it's the things we need to talk about at this point in the season, when the season is over, that, I think they have the foundation in place.
Absolutely.
And they can now, if you look at last off season's moves,
it's prior off season.
Yeah. Free agency.
Moves, yeah.
They loaded up on defense.
Yeah.
And it didn't really equate too much.
The best one was Terrell Ford.
Absolutely. Terrell Ford is still a dominant cornerback. The reason he doesn't get talked about a lot is because they don't target him all that much.
When you take away him, I think Ed missed on most of his defensive signings and from the big names, from the splashy names.
Yes.
That's the wild part to that.
Well, and to be honest with you, it will be interesting to see what happens now, especially with Tyrell Ford. Is the brother bond stronger than football?
Well, he's got a 2-year deal. You're a professional athlete.
I know, but I'm
got to show up.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Look, I think it's pretty clearly understood that I don't know if the Elks now think of Trey Ford as a guy that they can see a part of their future plans.
He's not a part of definitely the immediate future plans, and because of just his contract, then that means you're not part of future plans. You need to move on from that. You can't pay this guy a 6-figure bonus.
You can't pay
him
a
as your
backup.
And have him as your backup.
That kind of money in the CFL just doesn't equate.
And you can't then just pay him like, well, now he's our starter. No, like you've got that change is coming. Yeah. Expect between now and the start of free agency a press release saying Trey Ford's been cut. Well, I don't think he's getting traded.
Between the start of February. When he's
free agency.
Well, sure. When he's due to get that bonus.
Yeah, I don't know when that one.
But those are the things that happen.
He played without his brother before.
I understand that, but that was part of the package to come here. Don't kid yourself. That was a big part of the package.
But you're under a contract. What are you going to do? You're going to hold out?
No, I don't think so.
And that's where it's. We'll see what happens.
You know what? You're probably right.
But at the same time, like worst case is okay. If Trey goes sign somewhere, you have the power.
Mm-hmm.
If hypothetically he goes signs, let's say Ottawa, you can say like, well, Ed could be like, well, you're going to play unless we get the right player coming back. We're not just going to cut or trade for nothing a top cornerback. When you like the idea that you could have a Ross Ford cornerback for next year.
That's ideal.
I think J.C. Sheridan is going to love that idea.
Yeah, any defensive coordinator would love that. Yeah. J.J. Ross proved to be very, very good. Shaggy, I see all the stuff you say. I usually don't want to respond to you, but the screwed over Trey, Tyrell will want out. Nobody screwed over Trey. Trey was given a fair opportunity here. Last year, this year, he was given the ball. He was given the ball early. He was named the starter throughout training camp, something that everybody wanted. Oh, make sure Trey knows he's the guy. Well, it turns out he wasn't. I mean, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, Trey can, hey, go. It's always I don't know. It's not like people here want, well, Trey's terrible. Trey's got to go. I hope Trey goes somewhere else and comes back and, is a starting quarterback at some point in the CFL. He's a Canadian quarterback. He played at Waterloo. How can you not want him to have success? It's just not going to happen here right now. But Trey did not get screwed over. Trey had the opportunity. It just didn't look good. What he was producing on the field simply wasn't good enough. There's no denying that Cody Fajardo came in and stabilized this team, stabilized this offense, and put up better results on the field. If you don't agree with that, that's fine. That's just my opinion. But I don't think it's fair for anybody to say that Trey Ford was screwed over by this organization.
Previous regimes, I'll say, not this one.
Not this.
I won't say
they gave him the ball.
Yep. I disagree with, I think he deserved a little more time. I think they could have done things differently offensively, but the results speak for themselves with Cody Fajardo. And there's no one, even at the time, you can't dispute it as much as you want to like Trey Ford for some of us out there. Cody Fajardo is a better quarterback, and he showed this year that he is a better quarterback. Now, one of the helps is you have a defense that turned it around. But you can make the argument, which I know you've made, there's more confidence from the offense that could carry over to the defense. But the results are there. The Edmonton Elks, and I'm taking tonight out of this because pretty meaningless football game. When Cody Fajardo came in, let me quickly pull this up. Cody Fajardo lost by 3 points to Saskatchewan, lost by 4 points to Hamilton. They beat Montreal, they beat Toronto, they beat Ottawa. They lost by 21 to Calgary, so a big loss. Beat Calgary, lost by 1 to Toronto, lost by 2 to Hamilton. Beat Saskatchewan, beat Winnipeg, and then lost by 13 last week. And that was a disappointing one. But for the most part, the games were close all season.
Yeah,
for the most part with Cody Fajardo.
I mean, they
were competitive in every single game.
First time they've had a winning record at home since 2019.
Yeah.
That's something to be happy about. If you're capable of it.
He got wins, and this team, they won football games, and we were talking playoffs as of last week.
Yeah,
as of almost a week ago, just a little over a week ago. Just a few more hours add on to that. We were talking about the idea of the Elks. What's the path for playoffs? What is the path for playoffs? So,
and that's the thing, Maddie, that you really got to look at. Exactly. And you can't overlook that. No. People that follow this team, have followed this club for years, know that there is something different here. This is not the same old regime. This is started from the top down. And the number one thing I'm most excited about, Matt, is I guarantee you, unless a coach decides his time is done as a head coach, or not a head coach, or a coach in the CFL, there will not be changes to this coaching staff. There will be continuity on this coaching staff. There will be continuity in the head office. Okay? That means a lot. Think of how many coaches and changes we've seen here over the past, decade, right? And GMs and all, that's done. There is going to be some stability here, and I mean this. That means a lot. That is such an advantage coming in next year. This year was the big year of change. Cody Fajardo early in the season, when he was still the backup for this team, said, yeah, it takes time. You see these teams that have this massive turnover in the offseason, it takes time for them to gel. But trust me, that usually happens. And the teams that come out really strong early are the teams that have continuity.
Yeah.
The Elks are now over that hump. They're done. Will there be some changes to the roster? Absolutely. But there will not be changes to the coaching staff. And that, I'm telling you, means a lot because it hasn't happened here in quite a while.
Yeah, I would be stunned and disappointed if there was anything coming. And I'm not I'm just if we somehow get surprised with the Elks are moving on from, it'd be Jordan McSimic. I would be stunned by that.
Oh, no,
it's
will
just
not.
not happening.
You will not. That
now,
will not
does
happen.
that mean Jordan McSimic needs to be better still next year? Absolutely. Like, he needs to. I need to see better from Jordan McSimic as an OC next year, or it's going to be a different conversation next offseason. If we're talking about the offense at that point, JC Sheridan just did a fantastic job with that. I don't need to talk about the other ones because that's just foolish. Maybe you'll see, just guys, when new staffs, people move around, get promotions, maybe some of the positional guys, there might be some changes there. But it's not going to be because the Elks are wanting to fire someone and to have heads roll. It's going to be just different opportunities for certain guys. But I think with the main ones, which is always your head coach, special teams, OC, DC, I think they're all coming back. And there's no reason to think otherwise. There's no reason to want otherwise. Build that continuity, keep it going, and see what happens next year. This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show, live right here in Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. Elks fall 20-10 to the Stampeders. Finished the season 7-9. This is 7-11, same record as last year. Thank you to everyone for listening on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. I don't know if you've been looking at my paper.
No, I haven't.
Oh, I don't care if you have.
Just looking at your eyes, Maddie.
Well, you.
We did have spaghetti. We did. We're having Italian vibes here tonight. Matt made spaghetti for him and I tonight. We had a nice loaf of garlic bread.
Yeah.
Matt made like real homemade spaghetti. I believe it was your mother's.
The sauce is homemade. Is my mom's.
They had a little hot plate. I mean, it was beautiful. It was glorious.
It was just regular.
Check out the Edmonton Sports Talk Instagram. I did post a video of it.
Not homemade spaghetti or anything. The basil was grown in my house.
Yeah, and they even had the little Parmesan with the
actual
thing.
Parmesan, not the container. Even though I grew up on that, it was great.
Oh, no. You brought the real deal.
It was a nice way to end this. I think it was last week or something. I was like, we should do spaghetti one of these. It's so easy to make, and it's
well. I will say this: your mother's pasta sauce is fantastic.
It is great.
And you know what? I like the Italian in you that you don't put the pasta down and then just dump a dollop of sauce.
No,
you mix that all and it marinates.
I did it wrong today, though. I didn't.
Don't be hard on yourself.
Well, no, it's because I wasn't home kitchen. I was doing it on this little hot plate that was going. What I needed to do was put the sauce on and then put the pasta. I put the sauce on the pasta inside the pot and then mixed it around.
Yeah, that's fine.
I usually do sauce. You put the pasta on the sauce.
Oh.
You do it that way and you bring a little bit of water in there. And sometimes I do it that way.
Are you Italian enough that you would call that gravy?
No, that's an American thing.
Okay.
That's an American Italian thing. That is something that is said on The Sopranos. That is an American Italian thing. You go to Italy and ask for gravy, they'll have no idea what you're talking about.
Casino Dealer Jay in the nasty chat. It's a step forward from last season. I didn't expect the Elks to make the playoffs this season. Next season should be another step and at least a go for the crossover. Let us know what you got. You know what? You guys have been here all year. You've been listening to us all year. You've heard our thoughts. You can hit us up on the inbox, 780-218-9999. Let your thoughts be heard on the nasty chat. Let us know. What do you think is... what is the direction? Are we offline thinking that this team is heading in the right direction? Do you think this team is still, stumbling in its past ways? What do you see the future of this program and this organization heading forward?
I do have a question to also throw out there, but I want to read a couple of comments into the inbox. One, Sickler went preach Miller.
Preach Miller.
He said Miller.
I think he meant Milner.
Yeah, no, that's your buddy there.
That's one of my best friends. Yes, yeah. That's why I know. I think he's saying preach Milner.
Or he's just purposely.
He's a big Milner guy.
I didn't know if there was the nickname or something. I just felt I had to read that.
Go get him, MGD.
Somebody texting in for the very first time. Do you think the foundation? Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Or at the texting in for the first time. Do you think the foundation's there on offense, specifically the play calling? I have my doubts. I think there's a foundation. We saw at times this year from Jordan McSimic some great play calling. There have been drives, there have been games where, I'll go back to that Montreal game when we had the nasty bash where they didn't run the ball the entire time in the second half. It wasn't working. They changed. They found a way to win that football game.
Yeah.
We have seen, to me, the moments from Jordan McSimic that it's there. He knows at times what to do with his guys to get the most out of them. I want to see more, though. I want to see a little bit more creativity. I will hammer this one for a long time because I've evolved it. It started the season, I thought we'd see Trey with Leak and Rankin on the field at one point. with no Ford. I still want to see Rankin and Leak, though, on the field together more often. And is the ball going to go to Rankin, or are you going to, send it off to Leak or something like that? I would like to think that there is a little bit more creativity from him, but do I think the foundation is there on offense? Yes.
Can I say that for that texter, let us know your handle if you want us to add one, but can I say I think both comments you made are right? Do I think there is a foundation? Yes. Can you question the play calling? I also say yes.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, is that Jordan McSimic doesn't just draw up a new playbook every week. Jordan McSimic came into the season with the playbook. Okay. Did Jordan McSimic think that the offensive line would struggle as much as they did? Probably not. Did Jordan McSimic think that Stephen Dunbar was going to be the number one guy that could carry the weight and carry the load? Probably did, but he got injured and wasn't producing as much as probably anybody would have thought. Did Jordan McSimic, like me, know that Justin Rankin is as dynamic of a playmaker as he is? Probably not to the extent that he became. These are now things that Jordan McSimic knows and can now go back into his laboratory and cook up some magical playbook that will take advantage of all that. So I think Jordan McSimic at times struggled with staleness in his offense and predictability. I think moving into next year, that's another year of growth for him and another year of understanding who he has. Maybe Ed dials up a number one actual legitimate wide receiver that is a playmaker. That changes a lot of things. So I do think both things you say are right, but I think there has been growth this year in the play calling and knowing what he has as the offensive coordinator.
The one question I want to throw out there, which is something I'll throw to you, Jay, I'll give my thoughts, but also every one of you, the listener out there, I want your thoughts on this as well. I've got it to 3. Feel free to, add an extra 1 or 2 if you want. But you're Ed Hervey. You're the general manager of this team. Freaky Friday, you're switching places with them. What's your wish list for the Edmonton Elks this offseason?
What is my wish list? Okay. Well, we're going to bring in competition. We're going to bring in competition on both defensive line and offensive line. Okay? We are going to bring in competition at the receiver spot. Specifically, the inside receivers. Those are your target guys in the CFL. This offense needs a game-changing receiver. I wasn't quite on board with that at the start of the season. You can attest to that. But I think you can see it. There's nobody like O.J. Allaire's great. Benjamin Victor came in and filled the role. Kion Julian Grant, Curly Gittins Jr. I would say they would probably think to themselves that they could have had better, more impactful seasons. Are those the answers? I don't know. They're both Canadian, right? So that helps. And then I honestly think this team needs to try, and you're going to be shocked about this. This team needs to try and find a way to get a home run hitting quarterback. Cody Fajardo is a stable.
Oh, that's a tough one.
A stable, competent quarterback. But Matt, I just don't know if he is limited by his arm strength and limited by his mobility. Okay, now I know Nathan Rourke's do not grow on trees, nor do Vernon Adams. Okay, but I mean specifically Nathan Rourke. That is a bit of a unicorn. I understand that, but you at least have to attempt. You at least have to try and find. Hey, Michael Riley was a nobody at some point, right? Like, and I'll say this: if there's anybody that can do it, I think Ed Hervey is a guy that's capable of finding hidden talent. Look what he's done with this roster. Yeah, albeit, like you said earlier, may have missed the mark on a lot of those free agency signings, but
they found the other guys. Where I struggle with that one is, to me, to find a home run quarterback, it's that unknown quarterback we don't know enough about. it's the JJ Ross almost of the world. That press release would have come across our inboxes at some point, and we would have went, who? And now, so it's some guy who's in the NCAA right now that we don't know about, right? Like, but I don't know if the Elks.
It could be somebody that's on a CFL roster sitting in a second or third string position, Matt.
Maybe, because the only thing I struggle with is I feel like the Elks got lucky with Cody Fajardo that he was healthy. That once he took over, he actually stayed healthy. And that's not something Cody Fajardo generally has done in his career as a starter. There are generally some weeks that he gets hurt that there's the balancing. Do you go find that just solid vet that could back up Cody, that if he gets hurt, you have a guy that could go out there just to win you football games? Or do you go for the home run guy to be your backup next year? And that's an interesting one, because I don't know which way you go. Because the one thing is, like, Cody is only 33. So you could be able to get a guy. Like,
I know.
3 or 4.
I know. I'm just questioning.
I know, but it's
his limitations,
and that's where I'm just curious. Like, if you're Ed, do you go try to get that home run now? But if something happens to Cody, you're going with inexperience, maybe, or someone that's hasn't been proven very yet. Or you go and try to get someone that, okay, if something happens to Cody for a couple of weeks, this guy's we're gonna stay, afloat. Like, and that's a tough one because, hey, look, Cody's last job, that guy, we didn't know about that, but Cody got hurt and Davis Alexander came in and it led to Cody moving on. I wonder also, does that impact Cody's negotiations with this team? 100%. And that's what then is, because then, who knows what's going to happen in Ottawa? There's the one I'm going to look at. Maybe I'm fascinated because I don't think he'd want to be as good of a guy as he is. I would not question him if he felt this.
You can't think about good guy, but like
but my thing is, him sitting there going, like, I don't want to mentor the next guy now. I took over this job, rightfully so. I took over this job. I don't want to lose it because you're going for that home run guy. I'm not going to sign here if that's the case. I'm going to go to Ottawa or something like that. And that's fascinating to me. Okay, I didn't know you were going to say that, and it's an interesting one though. And that is going to be something to watch. Is where does Ed go with his quarterbacking? Because is he going to come in with guys that you're saying, okay, well, is this the guy going to be the guy for 2 to 3 years from now, or is he going in with, okay, we just need a good vet that if something happens to Cody, we're set?
Do you think Cody thinks he could be the guy in 3 years?
Yes. I think if he didn't. Yeah, I would want to move on from him almost, because I want that competitive guy. And I think Cody, like, even while it was, I know he talked about the idea of that he was close to retiring. That's because he wants to be a starter. And if he wasn't going to be a starter, he was going to retire to a degree, or like he wanted a shot at being a starter. I think he believes he could still do it. And I'll say this, I believe over the next 3 years, if Cody is the starter of this team, they have a chance of winning the Grey Cup still. I don't think he can't lead them to a
I don't disagree with that. Okay. But Nathan Rourke is a quarterback for the BC Lions for the next 5 to 7 years, if he wants to be. I was talking with somebody who's quite a knowledgeable person, CFL related. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the name Taylor Powell?
I'm not a fan of Taylor Powell.
Backup currently with the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
I'm not a fan.
Why?
I haven't liked what I've seen from him. I know that they're
27 years old.
Also, Hamilton's very high on him.
Why are they so high on him then?
I don't know. Why are some quarterbacks and coaches higher on some other? Like Calgary was high on Jake Mayer. They let Bo go. Jake Mayer is now the backup in Saskatchewan. They sometimes get that wrong. They benched Bo last year going into the game against Edmonton. Powell got hurt, and Bo hasn't looked back since. I'm not sold on Taylor Powell.
What do you think of this? Keep It 100 says in the nasty chat, I'm not advocating for it, but Ed certainly wouldn't shy away from a Chad Kelly signing or trade if he thought it would make his team better.
Chad Kelly did not want to sign in Edmonton when he was first coming to this league. Chad Kelly was a negotiation list player of the Edmonton. Was it the Eskimos or is it the Elks? It had to be the Elks. He was traded for Nick Arbuckle. The Nick Arbuckle trade that brought him to Edmonton, Chad Kelly's rights were gone. The story is he didn't want to sign in Edmonton. He only wanted Toronto. I also believe that Ryan Dinwiddie's very high on Chad Kelly, and he's got the start of the job there. Toronto also doesn't have to do anything at quarterback. They're all signed for next year. They don't actually have to get rid of someone. They could do. And if you're Ryan Dinwiddie and you're the Argos, you're going to do full competition next year. Chad Kelly versus Nick Arbuckle. Come get it. I'm Chad Kelly. Don't like the guy off the field. Don't like what we've seen on the field. Fantastic quarterback.
Now, what did I say earlier, though? The Elks are second last in the CFL, have given up 48 sacks leading into tonight's game.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's an issue. And that revolves around those front five people protecting Cody Fajardo. There needs to be competition brought in there. Both tackle positions were questionable during the year. Both guard positions were questionable during the year. And at center, I mean, look, David Beard's a great guy. Love the guy. But you need to bring in competition. You need to be pushed. That will make everybody better. Because, it's one of these things. Like, you ask any one of those old linemen what they would say about this year. They'd say, we didn't do our job well enough.
Yeah. I'll get to my wish list right away. Dusty did text too, though. What about Chad Kelly if the Argos walk away? I just truly would be stunned if they walked away from him. It seems Ryan Didwey and that organization always talk so highly of him. And I don't think, if you're the Argos, I don't think you could bet on Nick Arbuckle having the same season as he did this year. That's a big risk. And now Chad Kelly, here's the other part that I'm worried about with Chad Kelly, though. We haven't seen him play since that injury, and that was a gruesome injury. Is he still Chad Kelly? Can he, like, one of his things was he was able to move a little bit. I would take a Chad Kelly if he had the ability. I would be willing to look past kind of after. It would have to be a good conversation. There would have to be a solid conversation. Do I feel like this guy's learned? That actually, you want to know something? I don't think he has learned from anything. With some of his posts, his comeback posts and all that stuff, I probably would stay away from Chad Kelly. I wouldn't want to disrupt this locker room.
Yeah, and you got to understand.
If it was just talent alone.
Well, it's not, though.
I know. If it was just talent alone, I'd be doing anything for Chad Kelly at that point.
This organization has expectations, has their culture, their all this stuff they've said. I'm not sure a guy like that fits into their plans.
Well, I'll say somebody said.
I'm not saying I shouldn't say a guy like that, Matt. But what's happened in the past will always trail him.
Well, it's happened in many stops too.
Yeah.
I will say somebody said Ed's wouldn't be afraid to go get that guy. I'll tell you one thing though. From what I know through Dave Jamieson, who knows Ed, and I think Ed is the type of GM that would be as a player. That type of quarterback would not fly in an Ed Hervey locker room. That type of player would not have flown in a Chris Morris locker room. They have a specific culture that they're trying to build. I think you could look to the early 2000s, even late 90s, of the Edmonton Eskimos and what that culture was. You could be like, that's what they're trying to build. A guy like Chad Kelly would have quickly been pulled aside by number 88, Ed Hervey, and number 60, right? Chris Morris. And maybe 77, AJ
Ed Hervey
Gass.
was 81.
Was he 81? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm getting my numbers off tonight.
You did have, we were going down.
But some of those guys would pull. Chad Kelly would have been pulled aside very early and would have been told, "We don't do that here. That's not how we do things." And I don't think Chad Kelly would appreciate that. So I don't think Chad Kelly's actually an Ed Hervey type quarterback. Like quarterback wise, yes. The person wise, I don't think he fits into what Ed Hervey wants in his locker room. Hey, look, the part of what happened with Geno Lewis and all that, and well, not Geno. I shouldn't say Geno. Why some of the Elks free agents last year didn't come back this year? What did Ed talk about? It wasn't about football. It wasn't about their talents. He talked about things in the locker room. And Chad Kelly does not fit in any way, shape, or form, in my mind, an Ed Hervey an offense. My wish list, if I was Ed Hervey, I've got 3 major wish lists. Number 3, kicking competition. I'm good with Vincent Blanchard being the kicker next year. But I want to have a decent kicker in camp to challenge him and go, you want to know something? No, and by extension, that kicker's ready to go early in the season if things don't go well. He had a great middle of the season. Very first game, struggled. He's had a little bit of struggles at the end. I'm not ready to throw him out, but I want some sort of competition just to push him a little bit more. I think the tackles on the offensive line need to be looked at. So either that's Boyko or Ivy. I think that's where you're going to go. Cordy has been extended. Cordy, Beard, O'Donnell, 3 Bear guys. I don't I struggle whether that they would make a change there.
We are not really talking about O'Donnell. And O'Donnell came in 3/4 of the way through the season.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this is the most talented offensive lineman they have. That inner core, I'm not sure how that's all going to shake out, but I know O'Donnell's good. I know O'Donnell is a mean SOB. Maybe there's something to be said about moving Cordy back to center, getting him in that role. I don't know if that means David Beard would slide to left guard, but something was not right. When your team has given up as many sacks as the Elks, something's off.
Well, when Beard was last here, Cordy, I believe, was right guard, not left guard. Could O'Donnell play left?
Yeah, he could.
It'll be fascinating to see what they do there.
O'Donnell could play tackle too.
I think you've got the three. Well, you got the three Bears guys. Yeah, maybe that's one of the way you address tackles. But O'Donnell is. It's almost. We said in the kickoff show. It's almost to me a free agent signing for next year. Like when we look at this team next year, to me we could almost look at a new addition type thing because he's joining the year partway through.
Kicking, tackles,
and then my number one is a number one wide receiver. This team needs that player. Justin Rankin can only do so much for this offense. Justin Rankin can only take this offense so far. There are going to be games he's contained. There are going to be games where teams are going to control him, and he's not going to be able to have his big breakouts. You need another major threat. And the Edmonton Elks didn't have that this year. Maybe one day, Hilaire or Victor or someone else, maybe Calhoun, they could be that guy. But I don't think you go into next season with a hoping of that guy. I don't know who's going to be out there for wide receivers, but I do think that the Edmonton Elks need to go get a strong number one receiver. That to me is my number one wish list. If changes have to be made on the defensive side to make you money, to me you're doing that so you can get in that wide receiver. You need to bring in that receiver. I understand why they didn't do that this year. I understand that Ed Hervey likes building down that spine. Well, to a degree, you've built down that spine. You've gotten that done. Now you've got to go get a little bit of those receivers. When Ed won, Grey Cups, he was a wide receiver. Jason Tucker was a wide receiver. Terry Vaughn was a wide receiver. Or Mookie Mitchell was a wide receiver. When Ed built the 2015 Grey Cup team, he had a Darius Bowman. He had Darrell Walker. This wasn't the Grey Cup team, but he did have Brandon Zylstra in there. Like, he had top receivers.
Give me an example. Give me a name. Like, what do you think can shake loose from the trees? Whether it be, because as alluded to, we have no idea who's free agents or what's they're getting paid. But like, what are we talking about here, Matty?
Well, okay. I'm just trying to think who might be shaking loose, who might be a free agent and could be there. But in Montreal, I see a Tyson Philpott. I see an Austin Mack. I see a Tyler Snead. Can they keep those three guys all together? Is there one that could shake loose?
Like, what about what about a Justin Hardy?
A Justin Hardy? Sorry, a little something on the throat. Justin Hardy, if he breaks free.
What about a Dante Myers out of Saskatchewan? Do you think you can get that echelon?
I don't know if Myers is there yet. But like, I'm thinking like, and again, Samuel Emelis is a big name. Keyshawn Johnson is big there. You know, you got Keon Hatcher, you got a Justin McInnes in BC. I don't think Calgary really has a true number one right now. Dalton Schoen got hurt, but Hamilton's got a few receivers. They got Kenny Lawler, they got Condre Smith. I'm not big on Shamir Bridges.
Do you think anybody from BC could shake loose? And I'm talking one of the big two, Keon Hatcher, Justin McInnes.
It's Keon Hatcher. But the one thing then is I also don't like, is Ed going to spend that money on a Keon Hatcher? Like, I feel like...
I think he's with this team, he might have to.
But I feel like he's a guy that, is he going to look at a number two and be like, I'm going to spend it on a number two because this guy hasn't gotten his chance and he's actually a number one? Is that the way Ed's going to go look at that? Is that I'm going to go get the number two, don't have to pay you the high price, but I'll pay you, but you're going to now become the number one guy. You're going to take that step up. Like, I don't... Keep it 100. What about Jake Herslow from Toronto? I love what Jake Herslow did in the second half of that season when he came onto the scene. That's the type of guy. Here's what if I had a perfect dream scenario for the Edmonton Elks in the receiving corps next year, they would bring in the name receiver, but we'd have in the middle of the season a Jake Herslow pop up that they signed in a press release in March that comes up, which is what happened in 2015. The Edmonton Elks had a Darius Bowman and then Darrell Walker popped up out of nowhere, and they had their two big receivers. It would be great if this team could find an unnamed player, an unknown player, I should say, to become a top receiver for this team. See, I also think, though, that you also still need a known one because it would change some things.
And that's a good point, because Herslow really hasn't done, well, this is his second year. He didn't do anything his first year. He only played in one game. So now you're going to give that guy a bag based off of 1 year? That's not enough proof or evidence to suggest that you are truly deserving of that, in my opinion. I'd go for like one of those Philpots. I think that would be a player that can come into their own here in Edmonton and carve out their own, hey, I'm going to become a number one receiver in the CFL.
So that's where, and that's what, when the free agent list comes out from the Canadian Football League in December, unfortunately it's not out today, I'll be looking at the receivers. That'll be the first thing I'm staring at. What receivers are there? What receivers are somebody that Ed could maybe go target? Because that was the big thing. We talked about a little bit in February when they made their signings, and then they signed Alex Hollins. And we thought, oh, maybe, okay, they've built a little something, and then they cut Alex Hollins. I would want a wide receiver. So that's my wish list. Wide receiver, number one, offensive tackle, and kicking competition. Jay had competition at D and offensive line, competition at wide receiver, and looking for that home run quarterback for this team.
Casino dealer Jay, we got money for that and to repair the rest of the offense? Well,
money for what?
To sign big name free agents. And I'm telling you, they do, because there's going to be some big name players. I don't know who. I'm not Nostradamus, but I will assure you of this. Some of the signings they made last year will be coming off the books. Well, that's inevitable.
Yeah, based off what I'm saying there, part of this is they spent, there's money on the offensive line. You have to remember that one of those guys goes away. So there's a little bit of money there's that salary. You're going to probably maybe have to give a little bump somewhere else. And then you need the wide receiver there. But I think that there's going to be, I'll say there's going to be two significant names from the defense at the very least that won't be back next year, which is significant money.
Minimum.
Yeah. And Cody will get his bump, but that will come at the cost of Trey's contract. So there's the wash there. And then Cody's money from this year, that will be spent on a backup quarterback. And actually, quite frankly, if you're going for that home run player, you might actually have a little bit of savings there.
Sure.
Because you're not dealing with a veteran at that point. So I do think that the money will be worked around. And yeah, I do think that at the very, if I went for my wish list, wide receiver number one, offensive line tackle, kicking competition. The kicking competition ultimately is wash because you're going to keep one kicker. You're not going to keep two. Two guys are gone from defense. And that's where you go. Supersized Indiana Jones, is Terrell still under contract next season? I believe it was a 2-year deal when he signed. Yes. So he should be under contract. But you want to know something, Supersized Indiana Jones? Wouldn't it be great if that was all official? If there's just a website that you could go to? And I wonder if any other leagues have thought of this, or people around those leagues have ever thought of something like this. And you could click and you could see how long somebody signed till. And then we could do a show right now and you wouldn't have to ask that question because you could just go to the website and you would know.
You literally have to Google their name and contract and you might find it.
Yeah.
You might.
You'll find the more recent ones because they're signed. But anyone that signed 2 years ago, it might be gone, the press release. It'd just be wild. What a wild concept. It's one of of all the pet peeves of the CFL, that's one. The other one is the fact that they don't have a scoring summary on their website. You can't go on CFL.ca, click on a game, and just see a scoring summary, just who scored, just on a list. The most standard sports thing that you could find. You go open up a box score in baseball, you see the scoring summary. You go in NFL, you see a scoring summary, NHL scoring summary. The CFL website does not have a scoring summary. A quick page to just be this is how the scores happened in order. I'm not getting off on that one because it's 11:30. Jay, your final thoughts on the Edmonton Elks 2025 season?
Yeah. I'm almost as excited for the offseason as I am with anticipation for next season. I'm excited to see what moves are made now that this new group running the team, running the organization, head coach, everybody's together. Now they have a year under their belt. I want to see what they can now do in the offseason, what decisions they make, what this team looks like next year. And Big Uke asked earlier in the Nasty Chat, what's the percentage of turnover here? I think on any given roster across the CFL, you're a minimum of 10% year over year. There are years where it's higher than that. I could see this being around a 20% turnover, maybe 20 to 25 in key positions. I'm not talking guys that are going to be in between the practice roster and on the depth chart. I'm saying key positions, but they need it. So I'm excited to see what this new management group does in the offseason leading into next year. And like I said, I think this team's moving in the right direction. You can agree or disagree with me on that. But I'm excited to see what happens next year. I'm excited to see what players are brought in. And yeah, it'll be an interesting offseason.
Yeah, I think there was only 5 starters or 4 or 5 starters on defense from last game last year to first game this year. More than half of the offense was back from year to year of starters. I think when we look at when all things are said and done, there's going to be a lot more returning starters that we saw for the late stretch of the Edmonton Elks at the end of this season. I think there'll be a lot of them back for next season. Ultimately from where we were at the start of the year, disappointing end that the Elks aren't going to be back in the playoffs for the 5th straight time in franchise history, but a lot of hope for next season. Everything that you said, I echo. I look forward to seeing how Ed shapes this roster going into his second year as he's back with this team in GM. I look forward to seeing what Mark Killam does as a second-year head coach and learning from his mistakes and then the rest of his staff, their mistakes, and growing and growing as a whole unit. There's a solid foundation that looks to have been built. It's not sexy, but that basement was built, and now they're could start building the framework of the house and doing all of that.
Yeah.
That's what this season was about.
The cement has been poured.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be another interesting offseason. I hope that when we do this next year, we don't have to say it's going to be an interesting offseason because we're talking about, well, this was a good season. I don't know if that's necessarily Grey Cup, but hey, they got to a West final or something like that. That would be wonderful. Wonderful to see. I mean,
let's just start with playoffs, Mighty.
Hey, you want to know something? It couldn't happen in 2019, but the Calgary Stampeders came to Edmonton and won the Grey Cup on Commonwealth. The Elks need to repay that. The Grey Cup's back in Calgary next year. How great would it be? To take that back. They are also due to getting back there. I thought history would repeat itself. It didn't. They won in 15 in Winnipeg. They didn't win in Winnipeg in 2025.
Round of clicks for the listeners.
I was about to say, thank you to everyone very much.
You guys are awesome. We love you. Appreciate you listening.
I think this is the 10th overall season for the Green and Gold Kickoff Postgame Show. 2015 was our first season. There's always the miss season. Dusty and I started this one. I always enjoy coming in, talking Elks. Back then, Eskimos. It is highlight of the week. I love this team in this league. You love this league and this team. And we know you do. And we saw it all year. People tuned in to wanting to talk about this team, wanted to see this team win, wanting to see this team get into the playoffs. You get upset when they lose. You get upset at the command center when Jay's upset at the command center. You also celebrate when they win. And it was we greatly appreciate this. We spend our Friday or Saturdays mostly here together. Just the two of us in person, but we get to spend it with you as well. And we do it because you're willing to throw it on. Like there was a Jays World Series game tonight. And we saw people watching the kickoff show.
Bravo.
Like that's awesome. So thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. We appreciate all your support of Edmonton Sports Talk in general, of our CFL discussions, because we all love the CFL here, but also of the Green and Gold post-game shows. So thank you very much once again for a lovely season and joining us from the start of the year till the end of this year. We'll say something. Next year, we look forward to talking to you again on game 1 of the regular season. Hopefully it gets off to a better start. That's one thing that we can absolutely hope for. But we look forward to covering this offseason across the Edmonton Sports Talk platforms. Look forward to discussing all the moves that the Elks make, whether you agree or disagree with them. We will be here talking about it. There's no question about that. We are proud to be your your go-to source.
Yeah.
If there's one, if there's Elks news breaking, you could come to Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, presented by Play Alberta, and you'll know we will be discussing it. We will talk about it. We will give you the avenue to break that all down. So once again, thank you very much. The Edmonton Elks, they finished their season 7-11. They missed the playoffs for the 5th time in franchise history, but a lot of promise going in until 2026. He's Jay Milne. I'm Iwanyk. This was the Green and Gold Postgame Show. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to the kickoff postgame shows, not just tonight, but throughout the whole season. For everyone in the nasty chat and the inbox, whether we agree with you or disagree with you, we greatly appreciate you tuning in, interacting with us. I can only think of one way to end the 2025 Green and Gold Kickoff Show. It's also going to be the first thing, the last thing you hear on the post-game show tonight. It's going to be the first thing you hear on the Green and Gold Kickoff Show in 2026. On behalf of Jay, I'm Matt. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy your night. We'll talk with you on Monday right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Oh no, my whole ending didn't go. Hold up a second. I got to get this. I got to figure out what happened here. Oh, I think I know what happened. I think that's my issue. Oh, I heard something. Okay, once again, scratch that. We're going to do this again. This thing that you're about to hear on the postgame show will be the first thing you hear when we do the kickoff show in 2026. Talk to you then, but we'll actually talk to you on Monday.
They do this in prime time. Under the bright lights for you on the sidelines. The fans in the stands keeping doubly bright high. The grid-eye fly guys, the green and the gold, yeah, they call it the franchise. The gizmos, miles, the moves, the Kempleys, old spaghetti legs. Ricky Ray, Willie Bless, and whoever comes next to bring back the chip and add another brick to the legacy. Cause it's double E over everything. Double E is a legacy. Double E over everything. Double E, we rising up.